Howdy guys, welcome to the very first episode of Deal by Deal. I'll be talking about every real estate transaction that I've invested in over the last 17 years, and it's going to be in order. So today's deal that we're talking about is the very first property I ever purchased, and this is in 2006. The deal is a mobile home, and I'll talk about how I found it, how I structured the deal, how I did on the investment, and what I did, when I exited out of that and how I made money. All right, so this was my very first investment ever that I made, and I'd been doing a lot of research, a lot of reading. That's the type of person I am. I'm going to read everything I can before I make a purchase. I've been looking at these mobile homes and the classifieds and the printed paper back in 2006. I had not heard of Craigslist or social media of any sort. It wasn't something that people would have gone to commonly to find properties. So I was finding these properties for sale in the newspaper. I was reading a bunch on negotiating, so I had all these tactics in mind. I found this property. It's a single wide mobile home in a park in Anchorage where I lived at the time, and the property, I think he was asking like $10,000. So I called the guy up, and it sounded like a perfect situation, for perfect negotiation position, because the guy lived in another country somewhere in South Asia and had come back to the US to foreclose on this property because he had sold it on owner finance and then ended up getting it back. And the guy literally had plane tickets like later that week to leave the country again. So he had to sell it. He had to sell it now. I thought that was a perfect position to be in if I was looking to negotiate on this and get a good deal. So the plan for this purchase was that we were going to be able to buy this. I think we were 20. The inside was painted like a baby blue, just like our wedding colors, and we'd gotten married earlier that year. So we're brand new, years old at the time. We're going to be able to buy this property and move out of our current place so that we weren't renting anymore. And so instead of going there just to take a look at it as an investment, I brought my wife along, of course, because it was a potential for us to live in. So we got there and we walked in, and I had done all this reading and on negotiations and such, but I hadn't really communicated what exactly I was doing. I didn't communicate that well with my wife. So we walked in. We'd only been together, pretty short amount of time because we were 20 years old at the time. And we walked into this mobile home, and it wasn't real fancy. It was only $10,000, newlyweds. And we walk in, and she looked around, and her face lit up, and she's like, "I love it. We have to have this home." So here I am trying to negotiate this great deal, and my wife walks in and just basically says we're buying it. And this old gentleman who was selling it, he looked at me, and I could see in his eyes, he's like, "Oh, you're hosed. You're buying the place either way at this point." So that wasn't very helpful, but we were still able to negotiate down just a little bit and get it for $9,250. And we were able to get it on reasonable terms. I could have paid cash for it at the time because I've been working and always been a good saver, but I wanted to reserve some funds for another investment because I knew that I'd be doing another investment there shortly. So that's what we did. We put, I think, about half down, and he financed the rest for a little while for us, and then we had it paid off in about a year when we moved out of it. All right, so we lived there about a year, and in that time, we did another investment, which will be what our next video is, and then we bought another property to live in before we moved and sold it. So in the time that we were there, about a year, we did 3 real estate transactions. 2 of them were mobile homes. A lot of that is what I started with in the beginning and made good money on all 3 of them. The way that we exited, after we paid some interest on the note. We bought it for $9,250, and then 1 year later, we were able to sell it for $15,000. We didn't do a lot of work, but with the strategies that I was learning and reading about, we were able to mark it up because of the owner financing that we were offering. And the gentleman who bought that ended up getting it paid off in a few years too. So to recap the deal, we had a mobile home that we purchased for $9,250. We lived there for a year and then sold it for $15,000. So that wasn't a world changer. It wasn't a huge investment, but it was an awesome first investment for proof of concept to see that wealth could be built even in small incremental pieces in real estate, that I really could just go buy something, negotiate a deal, get it owner financed, and then when I sold it, really proved the demand of how many people were interested in owner financing on the back end. So that's definitely in the realm of some of the very smallest deals that I've done over the years. But it was a great first step for a young kid to buy and get starting down this process, proof of concept, and we made good money and went deal after deal after deal, for 17 years since. So that's all the way back in 2006. The very first deal that I ever did was a mobile home, made a good return. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you follow along, we're going to have new videos every week that show another deal that I've done. So some of them are very simple like this, some are even more simple, just buy and sell real quick to make a profit, and some of them are very complex deals that last for years and years with multiple tenants and purchases and resales of the same property. So hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe wherever you saw this and follow along. I think you'll have a good time. Thank you.